Good evening and welcome to Coffee Talk. KP Heathen, welcome my friend from Louisiana. How are you doing this evening? How's the weather? Very windy here in Victoria, Texas. Enrique Trevino, welcome. Uncle Al. Walter Davis, long time no see. Welcome, my friend. I know you've been busy. What do you think of your new senator, Walter? In some ways, he sounds like a Republican. Everybody saying hello. Please leave a like to support the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. 4, 5 in the house. I'm drinking Folgers. I lied. I'm not drinking Folgers. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm drinking a sachet of an alternate blend. Oh, good Lord. Can't even remember what I'm drinking. That's not good. Mystery coffee. Joseph Moore. Hello, Joseph. Well, that may be the case, but I was drinking Folgers Classic in a bag where you dunk it like a tea bag, but it was coffee. And they've had those around for probably 40 years. A lot of people don't use them, but it's a very smooth coffee. Very smooth coffee. We get a couple of more people in the stream, and I will start the topic for this evening. Little Lone Prepper. Hello, Little Lone Prepper. Yeah, you start getting some of this canned water, and they have the water has expiration dates, an expiration date. I've never heard of fresh water expiring, but you get some of these uh, canned waters, and they've got expiration dates. Well, I slept some today. I did a little bit of work for my wife, did a little bit of cooking. I went over to Sam's Club for a 4-meat pizza for supper. Dinner. Had 2 slices. Today for lunch, I had a salad. Made a salad. Seven in the house, 7 likes. So let's get down to the topic for this evening. Where are your papers, Mr. Lynn? Back in the days, you wanted to travel, even within your country, you better have identification papers. You've all seen those old movies like the Germans back during the war effort, times, and they were always wanting people's papers, and they'd have forgers that would forge papers. You know, they were pretty much handwritten. Most of them were handwritten, and they would have people that could do forgeries, and they'd always worry about that kind of stuff. Buying space. Hello, Myra. So, is it a valid ID? Is it a valid ID? Can it be verified? Is it outdated? 4 out of 5 Americans don't have a valid passport. I will admit I do not have a passport. The only country I've been to outside the United States is Mexico, and going across the border back in the days, you didn't have to have a passport to go over the border into Mexico. Most people are circling the drain. You can imagine where that's from. That's Uncle Al's wording. He talks about living within 50-mile radius of where you were born. Never left the country or traveled. Well, I have, like I said, I've been in northern Mexico, and I have traveled back east. I would periodically go through the southern states to get to Georgia. I've been to Florida. I like Baton Rouge. I like New Orleans. I've been all over Texas to the big cities. And I like Florida. But that's I've never been on a plane. I've never flown. Never wanted to fly. My father had a pilot's license, and that was before I was born. Not going to get me up on a plane. My daughter has a passport. My daughter has her concealed carry. Now, Texas is an open carry state. You don't have to have one, but she's still got a concealed carry. And she's got a passport. And she's been complaining because she's had to upgrade her passport. And she's had to change everything because she's now married. So now it's Tomasic, something like that. So now everything's got to be upgraded to her married name. We were having a talk about that today. You can also get a U.S. passport card. $80 people were arrested in Houston with false birth certificates this week. Well, that's, I guess, some of your illegals trying to get papers. Lack of military experience. Well, I'll tell you, I was never in the military. They tried to recruit me all through college. the more education I had, the more incentives they offered me. They offered me, up the rank, NCO rank, and I was I was in college during the Reagan years. I graduated from high school in 1980, and we were at peace, and I was in college and university getting my education, and I never did, you know. I also had an obligation, like Uncle Al takes care of his mother. I had an obligation to take care of my mother, who I was a late life baby to, and she was, when I was in college, she was already past 60. So, and my father was deceased, and I felt, obligated to, be there and to take care of her. So I've always done that. It's also limited me on my traveling when she was alive, and it limited me on some of the stuff that I could have done back in the day that I have no desire to do now. Hello, Dave. My friend Yoda. Well, did you hit 100,000 yet? And is that yes, Susanna Morrison, proud single mother. Beautiful young lady with a beautiful daughter. Thank you for coming, Susanna. I will visit you when I get a chance. Please leave a like to support the channel. It will be greatly appreciated. 8 in the house, 9 likes. My nephew goes to school with one of the kids of the Colombian family who moved in across the street. The kids are no longer going to school, and none of them hardly ever come out of the house. Yep. About to hit 7,800 next day or so. Damn, you got me beat by 6,000, man. This channel's growing like a weed. Most people show a driver's license and social security card. I have both. I carry both. I have a birth certificate, an old birth certificate. I was born in 1962. I keep it in a file with other stuff, like with my marriage license and such, or marriage certificate. This is a false idea, a myth. If in a wrong area, you may be detained for 72 hours. Most old school carry 2 forms of picture ID that is verifiable: a state ID, a state driver's license, and a passport. Government photo identification is also available. Well, I will tell you, I really ought to get a passport, whether I decide to use it or not. I guess as a form of identification, you can go over to the U.S. Post Office, and they can, they can help you with the photograph and do what you need to do. I'm embarrassed to say that I'd probably have to ask my daughter, how'd you go about getting yours? The current situation is upgraded the old birth certificate system. Too many false claims about the birth, thanks to Obama in 2012. Oh yeah, there was a big situation with Obama about his birth certificate. They couldn't find it, And when they finally released it, there was some information on it that wasn't, they weren't doing it at the time. So obviously, it seemed like perhaps maybe somebody had done one and they didn't know what was acceptable or what was standard for the time when he actually, the year he was born. That was a big argument that they had. Um, Birth certificates before 1962 must be verified. Can cost $175 to upgrade and validate or get a valid birth certificate. I think Uncle Al's probably quoting prices out in California. Mike Crusher Reviews. Hello, Mike. Mike, have you watched any of Viper GTS's recent? He has posted like 4 reviews in the last week or so, and I binged watched him. He hadn't been posting. He's another guy I like to watch his reviews. In Montana, our birth certificate was the size of your driver's license. Well, you know, somebody had said something about they're in the process of rounding up. Be safe, Walter. Drive safely. Memorize your social security number and driver's license. I have. I can tell you both. I could tell you both if I had to. You know, back in the day when I was younger, I could recite maybe 25 or 30 phone numbers. Now, I know mine. I know my wife's. I couldn't even tell you my kid's driver's license number from memory. Probably should know those, or their phone numbers from memory. Probably should know those. He's got 4 or 5 new videos that he's put out in the last, say, 10 days. He's been out back doing his videos where he's out, hiking. They look nice. He's been doing some foreign stuff, some U.S. stuff, foreign stuff. The latest one he did, I think, was a Lithuanian that was expired, and the mane was bad, the nuts were bad. Some of those, they don't last too long after expiration date, especially depending on how you stored it. Yeah, he used to follow me. He used to watch just about everything I'd put out. And that was, well, he hadn't been putting out anything in a while. That was before, he hadn't been putting out anything. Now he's back, but I hadn't seen or heard from him. 7 watching and 11 likes. Yeah, I haven't had the energy. Uncle Al should be proud of me. I put up 3 shorts today. Could have put up more, but I just stopped at 3. I wanted to see. I feel like I'm being suppressed. I'm not getting the views. They're not going out the way they should. The people who watch me religiously are getting them. I'm getting comments from my friends. But as far as just out and about, no. I mean, I was averaging over 400 views per short, and they're way down now. Way down. I had one the other day that had like 300 views, barely, but they're way down on my view count on those. So I think that that's perhaps the algorithm trying to suppress me. I mean, I'm very happy, like my friend Dave, he's going by Yoda now. I'm very happy for him, the way he's growing. At one point, we were both growing right at about 100 a month, and I was staying about 200 ahead of him. And then I slowed way down, and then he was like 200 ahead of me. And then here a couple of months ago, he just blew up. And in the last, 2 months, he's probably picked up 5,000 subscribers. Whereas I picked up maybe 30 or 40. I mean, it is what it is, and I'm happy for him. Not happy for me, but I'm happy for him. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is, the algorithm. I hear you. So good things to have them written down. I got 10 new IMPs yesterday. Got a fresh case B coming. And have 2 Italian rations getting delivered tomorrow. Well, you go, Mike, with your bad self. That's good. Yeah, I've thought about I've thought about opening some cases and starting to do some reviews, and I don't have the energy. I mean, I got them stacked back there. I just don't have the energy. It's getting to where I can't get to my totes. I have to move a bunch of stuff to get to my totes. That I got stuff separated out, and I've got it all. Stuff in the totes are all itemized. I've got each tote, what's in them, different types of stuff. But I have to move a bunch of stuff to get to them. I just keep piling them up right behind me. Melinda Elliott, hello. Thank you for coming. I watched a couple of your driving videos today, Melinda. Melinda does a lot of different stuff, but I enjoy her drive. I've thought about doing driving videos, like when I'm driving around town or driving to work or driving. I've thought about doing a driving video, and I just hadn't done it. Oh man. So I was talking to my daughter on the phone this evening. We text, and I decided to call her. We text a lot. I don't talk a lot with her. I called her the other day, first time in a couple weeks. We talked, and other than she pops in the house sometimes. Her and her husband go to her room, which we still have her room, and she's wanting to change out some of her winter clothes, getting out her summer stuff, her warmer weather stuff, and putting up her winter stuff. She's got racks in there, and we spoke for about 20 minutes on the phone. We were talking about how things were going, how's married life. She's been married for about three months now, and she's working. It's like, well, we both have goals, so like she has to get her hours in so she can get her permanent full license. Now she's a licensed professional counselor associate. with an A. So she has to get her hours in. She's already passed her test. She's already done everything, but she's got to get her hours in, and then she can just legitimately be a licensed professional counselor, LPC. And then she can work on her own without any supervision or anything. So it's like she's working on that. I'm working on getting my quarters in. I get retirement from the state for education, nice retirement check. But I have to have a total of 40 quarters in order to get Social Security, and I'll be 63 this next month. So I have to work. I have to get another 8 quarters in. When I got my report, I get a little, report from them. It said I needed 12 quarters. Now that it did not include this past year. So when you add this past year, that's an additional 4 quarters. So I need 8 quarters. So this spring, I'm going to get 2 quarters in, and then I'll need 6 quarters. So I have to work the following year, and then I have to work 2 quarters the year after. So really, I need 2 years from January of this year, and I have my 40 quarters. And I don't know. It did not tell me what my estimated check would be when I qualify for it and get it. It's probably not going to be that much. I think the most you can get for Social Security is like $2,700. I think that's like topping out. It's like $2,700 a month. So I get a lot more than that on my retirement check from the state. But then every little bit helps. When I eventually get to the point where I'm retired and I'm not working. Check your local Kroger for airline bottles of alcohol. I got 20 bottles of Jim Beam for 99 cents each. Uncle Al, self-medicating. Oh, good Lord. What day is my birthday? $25. What in the world's $25? That would be the 25th. Rumor has it you prefer the big bottles. Okay. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I used to drink alcohol. Idaho Garden Girl, welcome. Well, that's nice. Like I used to, back in the day, you'd write letters. Back in the day, you'd send cards. I think I sent out 1 or 2 cards this last year. Yes, an upcoming birthday. I like bourbon in my ration. Yeah, some R&R. You know that one, R&R? I got a friend who, drinks that stuff. I go over there and he likes Pepsi, so he'll have ice. He'll have like 3 shots of R&R, and then of course Pepsi in it. So a little bit of Pepsi just to say put a little bit of something other in it. It's mainly alcohol. Oh Lord have mercy. Yeah, I need to do another updated photo. My wife keeps saying, "Well, when can we put them out? When can we put them out?" So we got them in a cage inside with a light. Um, I said, "Oh, probably around the 1st of April." One, they're still small, um, and then the weather, it still gets cold at night. We still got a few nights where it be in the 40s. I want to let it get a little bit more, like up in the 60s at night before we put them in, and we'll put them in probably around the 1st of April. Might do it a week early. Um, in the new chicken condo. Nice. We have we have some Transylvania Turkins that are producing, about 6 months old, 7 months old. They're producing, and we have our older batch. So they're in with our older batch. Still got like 6 or 7 living from the older batch, and we're getting over a dozen eggs a day from them. The younger batch, we got a dozen, the small chicks that are developing. They're getting bigger. Oh Lord. Somebody asked what was I drinking? I'm drinking Nescafé. I was drinking Nescafé coffee. Little sachets of Nescafé. I order stuff from I get stuff from Amazon all the time. Oh heck. Oh. Well, good Lord. I think I need to sharpen it. Oh. Okay. Redundancy and such. For my solar. For the battery. It's also got a fuse. Just redundancy for stuff. That came in relatively fast. And of course, it's made in China. Everything's made in China. Everybody's saying hello to everybody else. Well, let's go through the topic one more time for this evening. We are right at 36 minutes in. Where are your papers? You get stopped, they want your papers. If you're driving, they ask for your driver's license, your proof of insurance, maybe your registration. Is it a valid ID? Can it be verified? You don't want stuff that runs out of date. 4 out of 5 Americans don't have a valid passport, which is probably true. Most people are circling the drain within 50 miles radius of where they were born. You can imagine that's coming from Uncle Al. Never left the country or traveled, lack of military experience. And like I said, I thank those who serve and have served. I never served. I grew up in a time of peace. I'm an only child. I can make excuses, but I basically took care of my mother. My father's deceased, and I was a late life baby. So by the time I was in my early 20s, my mother was in her early 60s. And she never did remarry. Most people show a driver's license and social security card as forms of identification. I carry both. This is a false idea, a myth. If in the wrong area, you can be detained for 72 hours. I don't know. I don't think I'd want to go to California. Those socialists out there might try to eat me. Most old school people, old school types, carry 2 forms of picture ID that is verifiable: state ID, state driver's license, and passport. Government phone identification is also available. The current situation is upgraded. The old birth certificate system, too many false claims about the birth. Thank you, Obama, in 2012. Birth certificates before 1962 must be re-verified. Cost $175 to upgrade and valid birth certificate. That's information according to Uncle Al. Mom of 4 boys. Welcome, Rachel. So a little bit about the channel. I was up to 1,859. I've dropped back to 1,857. I'm sitting at 1,857. When I get to 1,900, I will be doing a 1,900 subscriber giveaway. I've been doing every 100. It slowed way down. And if you'd like to be in the drawing or in my hat, if you'd like your channel name to be in my hat, please leave me a like and a supportive comment on each of the last 5 videos I will have released when I hit 1,900. I'm not talking shorts. I'm not talking posts. I'm not talking live streams. I'm talking videos. I don't release that many videos, but I will try to do an update news later this week, perhaps. I'd like to do one on the federal efforts now that Trump is back in office. I'd like to do one on the federal efforts to build the wall. They have signed a contract for about $70 million to build 7 miles of wall somewhere in Texas. Texas is building a wall in like 11 different locations along the Texas border. Half of the southern border is with Texas. Half the southern border along the Rio Grande is Texas border. And Texas has been trying to secure its own border, building wall and deploying National Guard. I did a really nice 5-minute video on Texas's efforts, Operation Lone Star, to secure the Texas border. And now the federal government has got back into it in looking to build wall. The socialists, calling themselves donkeys, the socialists have been doing everything they can to you tell a little old prepper to be careful. Yeah, be careful. The YouTube algorithm wants 2 videos and 6 shorts per day. Well, they're not going to get it. They got 3 shorts today. Some days they get 2 or 3 shorts and they get a video. Not often. It is what it is, and I put out what I put out. This is a hobby. It's not full time. I may be monetized, but I've never even received a check from them. It just trickles. Talk about trickle down. Well, it's just trickling. And you know, you talk about rumors, who's getting married, who's getting divorced. Somebody mentioned one of our former presidents, and I've heard talk of possible divorce in that regard. Not mentioning which one it is, but y'all should know. It's been in the news. Yeah. I hear you. Elon's been doing interviews. He's not a happy camper. They're going after him something awful for what all the stuff that he's finding. He's basically he's basically identifying the cheating in the NGOs and the money that's basically going down the hole. And they're crying about that. They're wailing, gnashing their teeth. You've got these activists, Democrat-appointed judges, doing whatever they can to try to slow things down, block things. You got this one judge wanting to bring back the criminals. They're in a Central American prison right now. I think we paid several $1 million for them to take them, and we flew them down. And now this judge is wanting, and then you've got Judge Roberts trying to, lecture the president about, the court system's the court system basically can shut you down to where you can't accomplish anything. Trump was elected to do certain things, and he needs to be allowed to do it, or he needs to put his foot down to do it. And it would just break my heart if you found a conservative judge and just started issuing bench warrants for some of these people, and they wound up in Gitmo. That might shut the rest of them up. I'm just saying, it'd be a fictional story to write. Yeah. Some lady at the park today was ticked off today because her husband is having to go back to the office after 5 years. Now she had to quit her job because he was watching their young daughter while she worked. Well, do you think it's right all these people who supposedly have government jobs, what are they doing at home? What are they doing? Telemarketing for the government? I mean, I don't know. But you got way too many people supposedly working from home. Working on what? I have no idea. But but why do you think we're in debt the way we are? Why do you think we keep going further and further in debt? They gotta shut this stuff down. They need to shut this stuff down. And if it causes them some pain, well, so be it. Um, and then they're crying about deporting people, deporting illegals. Uh, I mean, there were a bunch of illegals. There were millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of illegals in here before, oh, uh, Biden took office. He added about 3 million a year. Uh, Obama, what were they calling them? Dreamers. Some of them have been here for 15, going on 20 years. Dreamers. They call them the dreamers. And a lot of them have like semi-legal status. They're not citizens, but they got like green cards and they're working on it. They go to court periodically and they're trying to. I know a couple of them, former students of mine back when I was a principal. And nice kids. Nice kids. Um, you get some that come in, then they marry American citizens. Perhaps they have a kid or two. They're looking to end this birthright. Um, you're pregnant, you show up, your child's born here, and all of a sudden your child's a citizen. Well, that was not the intent of the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment's main intent was to give citizenship to the former slaves, and then it said those under the jurisdiction of the United States. So if somebody comes over, they're a citizen of a foreign country, they have a child here, they're not of the jurisdiction of the United States. Don't say that their child is a citizen. They need to stop that crap. We're the only country that does that. Yep, yep. A BMW session. Yep. BITCH, moan and whine. BMW. I truly believe we're living in the end times. I truly believe we're living in the end times. Just waiting for the Jews to start rebuilding their temple. Of course, they're going to have to demolish a mosque on top of the where their temple was. That'll start a good war. Hey, Verna. Welcome, my friend. Verna from Vase Place. How's it going? I watched you out walking your dog. She likes to do these walking videos. People have been thinking we are at the end times since the 80s. Well, I think we were. You can be the end times, and it's not the very end. It can just be towards the end. Japanese Americans sued the hell out of Democrats and government on the 14th Amendment. Yeah, the Democrats interred a lot of Japanese during World War II. A lot of Japanese fought honorably on the European front. They fought in Italy. They fought in France with honor, distinction. I don't believe they'd send them to the Pacific. They sent them to Europe. And they really got screwed as far as property and such. Horrible situation. Horrible situation. There shouldn't be any of them voting Democrat, but I'm sure a lot of them do. Yep, Uncle Al, and thank you for your service. $12 in the house, 14 likes. Please, if you would like to support the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. So I guess it'd be a good idea if you can get a passport. You know, you may never use it, but at least it's a form of identification, picture identification. They like you have two picture IDs, and that would be a picture ID. I guess if you had a carry permit, that would qualify as a picture ID, in addition to your driver's license. Texas is an open carry state. Open carry, concealed carry, no permit to carry. So tomorrow's hump day, Wednesday. I plan on coming back for another live stream. I'll do a post about it, and hopefully my mentor will give me another topic. A federal document. Well, yeah, passport would be a federal document, but that'd probably be one of the few federal documents I'd think of, because we basically have a state driver's license. I do have a social security card, but it doesn't have a picture. Birth certificate does not have a picture. I have one of those. And I guess I'll look into getting a passport. I may look into getting a concealed carry, even though you really don't have to have one in Texas. There are a number of states that honor each other's concealed carries. So if you got one that's valid in one state, it'd be valid in another state that has concealed carry. Whenever I've traveled, I've always carried a pistol with me in my vehicle where I can access it. You never know the way things are these days. I was in the line over at Whataburger the other morning before it got light. I went to go get a you know, breakfast and to take one to my wife. And this homeless person tried to ask me for money, and I did. And man, he started cussing me out something awful. And I was thinking, dag nabbit, I don't have my pistol on me. Just in case. And he walked off, went inside. When the lady came to the window and gave me my food, I said, hey, that guy that just went inside there, he asked me for money, and when I wouldn't give him any, he started cussing me out. So she was an older lady, and she thanked me for the information. Probably run him off. I think you should have a mental evaluation and a cool-off period. They make it harder for women whom have been married more than once to get the federal ID. "26 states, yeah. Just for verification? Are you saying I need a mental evaluation? Sometimes I think I need a mental evaluation and a cool-off period. It's like the old joke about gun control. Gun control is the ability to hit your target. I don't know. Um, when I was a boy, my father always carried a pistol in his car. He had an old style holster, bullets you could pull out from the rear, line the back of the belt, Colt. He always carried it whenever I went with him. He always has pistol. And I've seen him kill rattlesnakes a number of times. Kill a snake and cut the rattles off and save the rattles. I have a big bag of rattles that are rotting that he had. Control is using both hands. Yes, that's true. True. Using both hands. Okay. Well, I think, old school. I'll tell you this. I think you should own property and pass a literacy test in order to vote. If only people who own property and could pass a literacy test were allowed to vote, you would never have a Democrat elected to anything. And I think that'd be a good thing. And that's my opinion. uh, 12 in the House, 15 likes. I will tell a brief story. You can go online and look up D.C. Odom, my great grandfather. He was a Texas Ranger. He was sheriff of San Patricio County. Odom, Texas is named after him. He was one of the original founders of Sinton, Texas, which is the county seat. And there was a story told about him that when he was in his reclining years, he was older, he was like 70-ish. and a, a woman went out to the Odom Ranch. She was upset because something had happened to her husband. She blamed my great grandfather for it, and she tried to come at him with an axe. He was going to try to kill him with an axe, and one of my great grandfather's sons shot and killed the woman with a shotgun. She caught him. He wasn't armed. His son saved him. And I'd been told that story. It was a Hispanic woman. I'm sure that her husband was Hispanic back in the days. And we're talking probably in the 1920s, so it was over 100 years ago. And it's one of the stories that I've heard, stories about my great-grandfather, things that he had done. And he was a self-made man. He started out modest. He was an orphan. Parents had died from disease or whatever. And how he, he learned to read and write, do math, working as a young man. And big success story. He sent his kids, he had like 9 or 10 kids. He sent his sons to college. They all went to college. Notre Dame, St. Edward's University in Austin. My grandfather, which was named after him, D.C. Odom, he graduated from St. Edward's, and I was named after him, David Odom, and it's history. But I thought I'd tell you all that. All right, Uncle Al, thank you for coming. So, I will try to do a coffee talk news this week. I've got some stuff I need to edit. I'll put out some more shorts. I'm starting to edit shorts, which put little clips together, adding them up to close to a minute. Hopefully you like the music I'm putting in them. Yeah, I would encourage you to Google D.C. Odom, David Charles Odom, and he's in the history books. He's married to Martha Gallagher, Odom and a Gallagher, some of my ancestral names. So I'm related to a lot of different people, different families, the Irish colonies, the San Patricio colony, related to those people, the McGloins and all that. Anyway, everybody, please have a blessed day. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for another edition of Coffee Talk. I appreciate you. Be prepared. Remember that. Get up in the morning, drink your coffee, thank God for the day, say the Lord's Prayer, get right with whatever you need to get right with, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you and God bless. Bye-bye.